Okay, I'm hoping you all can hear me. All right, we got the sound here now. All righty, let's get going here with today's class. Let's see. Okay, good evening. Good evening, and welcome to the class this evening. You see, got it? Got it, right. Let me turn my music off here. Well, I tried something a little different today. I tried to use my little laptop in a different space and trying to get this class going here this evening. Welcome to Studies in A Course in Miracles. I am your teacher for this evening, Alonzo Richard Fleming, and I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. I'm thanking all the new people who have joined the Course in Miracles class or Sunday school, and just giving me all this feedback that's really helping me to, it's encouraging. It really is encouraging. Let me make sure I got comments. We can hear you. Good, good. It's really encouraging to have people to tune in. This evening's class, we're going to be talking about lessons 29, 30, 31, and 32 of the course lessons, and basically just kind of encourage you to continue to do the lessons, continue to read the manual and the text of the course and learn the philosophy behind it. I'm sure your life is changing already. I'm sure that you're starting to see a whole new way in living, and it's only going to get better. Somebody asked me the other day about, well, wait a minute, my life got really rough since I started this. And what's going on? You know, in church, they used to tell us that that's the devil attacking you when you start doing something of God. But what really is going on in any kind of philosophy that causes you to look inwardly, you begin to come face to face with your own thinking, and your thinking is a hodgepodge of different things. And so some of the thoughts you have are pleasant and other thoughts are not so pleasant. And so that's what's really happening. There's no devil attacking you. It is simply you're coming in contact with your own thinking. And a lot of times, this is the beauty of the course. A lot of times, people, when you come in contact with your own thinking, you can use it as a learning opportunity by using the techniques, the principles that you learn about in the course. You can use those techniques at that time when you come in contact with such unpleasant thoughts. It feels like you're being under attack and make you want to quit. Really, it's just you coming in contact with your own thinking. Okay. Now, we are in some time in this world and in this country. We are on the brink of the next world war, and it's a fact, because you have this mind is coming in contact with itself, this illusion. Some people call this the War of Armageddon. Others have other names for it. But this war that you now seeing manifesting more and more is not something that's new. It's been going on since the man and woman became fearful after their eyes were opened. They became fearful, and they began to follow an illusionary type of thought system. But this is not a war between good and evil, because good in the Bible it talks about walk in the spirit and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the laws of the spirit of life have made me free from the law of sin and death. And this war is between illusions to see which one is going to be predominant next. That's what this war is about. It is not between good and evil. It is between the confused mind of the ego. That's what this war is about. It is not God on one side of it and Satan on the other. See, if that were the case, then both sides would think with God is on their side. Don't you ever notice in football games how both teams play to God, they pray to God, the same God they both praying to? So, it's not a situation, because you can deduce from that the winner is the one whose side God was on. No, that's not what's happening there. We're talking about the lessons 29 through 32. And basically, I want to center the lessons around the whole idea of what the community is trying to get. And I want to rephrase it. I want to introduce a new definition of what the community is trying to accomplish. The problem in our communities is a problem of separation. And this separation is represented in the thoughts, the basic thought that it's possible to become one flesh. Now, I'm going to bring this on home real quickly today. I'm not going to preach a sermon to you. I'm just going to and you can actually ask questions if you want. I can see it on the chat. So, but it's a problem of separation, and it's the only problem. When you break down mathematics, which is the language of the physical universe, you discover that everything tends to boil down to one simple guiding principle, and everything else flows from that guiding principle. We fill up several boards deriving relativity, and when it's all said and done, we get down to E equals mc squared, 3 terms. So the simplicity of it is the thing that you want to narrow it down. We talk about in the professional world, I want to drill down. We speak in terms of drilling down to something. In other words, breaking it down to its simplest component to try to understand the guiding principle that's behind the manifestation that you're looking at. The problem of our community is the problem of separation. And this problem of separation is housed in the thought that it's possible to become one flesh. They talk about getting married and they say these two shall become one flesh. Well, if it were possible to become one flesh, why haven't you seen any of that manifested? Who or what has become one flesh? Now, let's expand the term flesh to include the material world, because all that is the material is flesh, because that which is in the universe is in your body. Your body contains no foreign thing that's not contained in the whole of the universe. So we can say that the flesh is all the material world. So when you see it from like that, you understand that it's impossible to be one flesh. So if you try to unite under the flesh, you will see that it's impossible to do. You can put 5 or 6 black people, 10 black, put as many as you want in a room. They're all black. If they have different minds, different presumptions about living, different presumptions and cultures, you have all this flesh in the same room, but they can't unite. Because you can't unite under the flesh. If you take 100 Africans or black folk and spread them around the world, and they all got the same thought, you will notice unity among them. So that tells you, ladies and gentlemen, that you can unite under something higher than the flesh. We see in the world right now what happens to the planetary relationships when the guiding philosophy is based on the flesh, the color of a man's skin. And believe it or not, this war is about that at its basis. Which one of these people who have this color is going to rule the world? Do you understand? If it were possible to you become one flesh, then we should see this one flesh idea all over the planet, which we do not see in any case anywhere. You do not have to be afraid of the truth. If you see one flesh somewhere, then present that as evidence. But we don't see one flesh. So therefore, we have to get unity by a higher standard. A higher standard must be used. And so this higher standard comes under the idea of oneness. How can we be one when everything about our physical makeup is different? Our physical appearance is different. Obviously, and I don't want to belabor the point, one flesh, becoming one flesh is impossible to do. And so what we're talking about when we speak of separation and becoming one, we're talking about relationships. Okay? We're talking about relations and relationships. And what's the difference between relations and relationships? Relations talk about the individual, the individuals in their individual manifestation. Relationship takes it to a higher level and is speaking in terms of the thought of the individuals. Now you can have a bad relationship. We call them bad, and we call them good relationships. And we say that we have a bad relationship when? When do you have a bad relationship? Can anybody kind of give me an idea in the chat room? What would make a bad relationship? A bad relationship is when your thoughts are not united. When your thinking is different, you can be in a marriage, and I often use this as an example. Two people live in the same house, and they have everybody want to call me right now. Two people live in the same house, and they have let me close this door because this is disturbing me. Okay. Two people live in the same house. They've been living in the house for years. They got kids together, and they don't have a marriage license. They don't have a marriage license, but they love each other, and they protect each other, and they do everything that we say people who love each other do. They do this. I put the question to my class, are these people married? Two other people, they live in the same house. They have a marriage certificate. They had a grand wedding, and they're at each other's throat. They have children. They own a home together, just like the other couple that don't have a marriage license, didn't go down to the state and get a marriage license. Are they married? See, we're talking about relationships, and what makes the relationship has nothing to do with anything pertaining to the flesh. It has to do with the mind. So it's the quality of the relationship that we have to begin to deal with. So let me go to some of my slides and kind of bring this into play. We're talking about the undoing of illusions. The undoing of illusions. So when we're dealing with A Course in Miracles, I mean, the title itself prompts a question. What is a miracle? So I'm setting you up to help you to understand what a relationship, a good relationship is, or united mind is. And see, once we get it, once you get it as individuals, you begin to spread it around. The Course says when a mind has light, it knows only light. And it then takes that light and it shines that light into the darkness of other minds, showing them their majesty. So what is a miracle? We've had Benny Hinn and all the other preachers, they come and laying hands on people and having them get out of wheelchairs, and they're calling that a miracle. Well, here's what the Course in Miracles says about, because this is a course in miracles. So it behooves us to know what a miracle is. A miracle is a correction. This is to the point what a miracle is. A miracle does not create nor really change at all. It merely looks on devastation and reminds the mind that what it sees is false. So let's deal with that. A miracle is a correction. And when we talk about corrections, what are we talking about? We're talking about the mind, because I will just read further. It's a correction. It does not create and it doesn't change at all. It merely looks on devastation. So the first thing the miracle has to do is look. It has to look on devastation. And then it reminds. Now look at that word remind. I put it in bold to remind you that when you see the prefix re on a word, it has something to do with time. And it means that going back to a condition that existed. Remind. So what does it mean to remind? Well, your mind is split. Your mind has all these contradicting thoughts in it, and they don't fit together at all. They're in pieces. And you sometimes feel optimistic, sometimes feeling depressed, sometimes feeling this way or that way. But when you are reminded, you are told about the fact that what your mind is looking at, what you are looking at, this devastation that you are looking at is false. It undoes error, but does not attempt to go beyond perception. So the miracle does not make you, it does not go beyond what you see, you definitely see. It simply corrects the mind. It undoes the error in the thinking in the world of perception. Do you understand? It does not exceed the function of forgiveness. Thus, the miracle stays within time's limit. It functions within time. Yet it paves the way for the return of timelessness and love's awakening, for fear must slip away under the gentle remedy the miracle brings. So I want to focus in on the fact that it's a correction of the mind. It is a correction of the mind. And oh my God, this is going to blow y'all's mind when I'm trying to tell you. Just hang in here and stay with me. I take the long way home because I like to blaze my own path to get to the house. Look at what a miracle does. Look at this second paragraph here. A miracle inverts perception which was upside down before. Now, I say that all the time. And a lot of people, they can't know what you mean is upside down. Ladies and gentlemen, our thinking is upside down. It's upside down. I can prove it. I wish I had thought about this example before I got on here else, and I would have got a diagram and showed it to you. But do you know that when you are you're looking at me on this computer right now, on your computer. And do you know that the light coming from the thing that you are looking at comes to your eyes and the picture is upside down? It is the processes of the eyes. I'm really upside down when I come to your mind. But it's the process of the eyes and the mind working together that turns the picture to where I look like I'm sitting down and my head is here and my bottom is down there. It is the mind and the eyes working in conjunction to turn the picture upside. But the light that brings the picture to you is upside down. So see, our seeing with the eyes is upside down. So the miracle inverts perception. Now, just like the mind or the eyes or the light comes in upside down, when your thinking comes to you, your thinking is also upside down. And that which is of God looks like it's of the world, and that which is of the world looks like it's of God. And so the miracle inverts. Inverts means flips it over. You know, when you're doing in mathematics, when you're doing division, when you're dividing fractions, for example, 1/2 divided by 2/3. Well, the process of dividing fractions is invert the divisor and multiply. So you have to turn the divisor upside down and then do the operation. So the miracle inverts your perception, which was upside down before, and thus it ends the strange distortions that were manifest. I highlight the word manifest, darkened it. The reason I did, because the distortions are manifest. See, you don't have to guess at this. You don't have to do no superstition pie in the sky, by and by. Tomorrow we're going to get it. The miracle is now. The miracle is now. It is not tomorrow and it's not yesterday. If you notice, those of you who are studying the Course in Miracles, it's slowly causing us to collapse time to smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller slices to try to get us into the present, which is the only real part of time. The past is gone. The future is yet to come. And when the future gets here, it'll be the present. So it's the present that is the only real part of time. And so the miracle inverts your perception or how you see, which was upside down before. And doing this, it ends the strange distortions that were manifest. What is a miracle? The miracle, brothers and sisters, deal with the self. Now, this is the part that many who have grown up in the church are going to have a problem with, because we've been told that it's not about you. You have heard that it's said that it's not about you. But I'm here to tell you that it's only about you. It is only about you. So look, since it's only about you, the ego or the world knows this. So that's where it comes in and deals with you at. Self-concept versus the self. The learning of the world, listen, people, the learning of the world is built upon a concept of the self adjusted to the world's reality. Now, you read in the Bible, you were born in sin and shapen in iniquity, right? Well, it doesn't mean that you are sinful. It means that when you come into the world, this is the curriculum waiting for you. This is the curriculum waiting to teach you when you are born in sin. You are not a sinner. You can't be that because God didn't create that. But the world's job is to teach you that that is your identity, and then starts, well, let me read it so you'll hear it. The learning of the world is built upon a concept of a self adjusted to the world's reality. The world's reality is the reality of sin, but you are not of the world. So that's not your reality. But this concept of the self, when you come into the world, it immediately tries to adjust your thinking to the world's reality. Do you see that? Do you see that? Do you understand what I just said? If you understand what I just said, just type yes in the chat room so I know that y'all paying attention and y'all hearing me. Just type yes, I understand in the chat room. Or if you're on Facebook especially. Okay, now let's continue. We're going to get to the lessons. It fits it well, for this an image that suits a world of shadows and illusions. This concept fits a world of shadows and illusions. The world is shadows and illusions. The Bible talks about, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. This is what the Bible says. Well, what is the shadow of death that you walk through? You got to think about this, people. Oh my God. I don't want to sound too dogmatic, but I'm here to tell you, when you read that thing, you think about it. Don't just let nobody drag you down and say, this is what it means. Think about it. Okay. I ain't going to get too hyped up tonight. What is the valley of the shadow of death? Since I hit that. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff. And it talks about this protection. Now, if you read that Psalm 23 carefully, it changes the person. I got to go here. I know we're doing a course, but the course is referring to this. So I'm going to go to it. So just so I can read it to you and quote it properly. Let's see. That's Psalms. How you spell Psalms? P-H or P-S? P-H-H, P-S-H, A-L-M-S. I don't know how to spell Psalms. Let's see. Okay. Psalms 23. Okay. There we go. P-S-A-L-M-S. All right. Got it. Psalms 23. I want to read that since I got this. And the Course in Miracles is based on a lot of these principles. Okay, here's what it reads. The Lord is my shepherd. Now I want you to pay attention to who it's talking about in any given moment, so you can see the change and see what the valley of the shadow of death is. You probably never saw this before. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. Notice it's talking about the Lord, right? He's doing this. He restores my soul. He leads me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. He leads you because of his own name, which is yours, and that name is Christ. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Now, first he's talking about the Lord in third person. And then he starts talking about somebody in first person. He says, the Lord is my shepherd, he. And then he says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. The valley of the shadow of death, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to think about it, because I don't want to belabor this, and I'm belaboring a lot here. The valley of the shadow of death, the Lord is walking with you. It is the point when you are in the valley of the shadow of death. When you first come to terms, when you first fully accept one thought of the true relationship and the true oneness that you have with the Father, with the Creator, what you begin to notice is a shadow. And the Course in Miracles called it the shadows of the past. These shadows are all of the things you thought were sins, telling you if you take another step, you're going to die. And it's the point at which a lot of people turn around from following him. It's the point in the walk where you are right there at the door of heaven in your thinking. And this is when the shadows of death begin to show themselves. They begin to show themselves, trying to get you to turn around and don't take another step, because if you take another step, you're going to die. And you got to think about that for a while, I suppose. The building of the concept of the self is what the learning of the world is for. This is what your education is for. Whoever ruling the world, the energy that's ruling the current world, has a curriculum for you. And when you come into the world, it is the building of the concept of the self, which is the learning of the world is for. This is its purpose, that you come without a self and make one as you go along. So the world teaches us that when you come, you know nothing. When you come into the world, you're not anything. You don't know nothing. You come in blank. And the world has to figure out a way to get around the birth of Jesus in order to make you believe that you come into the world knowing nothing. But the birth of Jesus was on this wise. And I'm just using these stories to help us to understand. I'm putting meat on the bones of these stories. I'm not getting into the arguments of whether or not Jesus existed or he didn't, but I'm getting into the mysteries. The birth of Jesus was on this wise. You say that Jesus came into the world sinless. You say that Jesus knew his mission from birth. You say that Jesus was the Son of God when he was in the cradle. You say that Jesus was so pure that he didn't even have an earthly father. This is what you say. But you don't understand that this whole story is talking about you. This is what you don't understand. These are the mysteries that was hidden from the wise and the prudent and revealed unto babes. That the story of Jesus Christ, brothers and sisters, is about you. It's the story of you. You come into the world. You don't come into the world and get a mission. You come into the world with a mission. You don't come into the world to learn who you are. You come into the world because you know who you are. And you practicing. Look at here. Am I making sense, y'all? Help a brother out. Am I making sense what I'm saying here? The building of the concept of the self is what the learning of the world is for. This is its purpose, that you come without a self and make one as you go along. You see that? It's saying you don't know nothing. You ain't nobody. You're born and into this world. And this world is a world of sin, meaning the curriculum you learn in religion and politics and economics and social structure, whatever, in marriage, whatever, the curriculum of the world. I know you don't think your church is of the world. I know that. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Listen, you come in without a self, see, and make one as you go along. And by the time you reach maturity, you have perfected it. Perfected what? The self that you made. You have perfected it to meet the world on equal terms, at one with its demands. So you're fully convinced you are sinful. You're fully convinced that this is the way the world works. You're fully convinced of this and fully convinced of that. You're fully convinced of the dog eat dog, but you know it's against your nature. You know it. It's against your nature, and you know it is. Now, a concept of the self is made by you. It bears no likeness to yourself at all. It is an idol made to take the place of your reality of what? As Son of God. The concept of the self is made by you. It bears no likeness to yourself at all. Do you hear that? Who you think you are bears no likeness to what you are at all. You have no idea of who you are or what you are at all if you are trapped into suggesting, well, I'm like this and I'm like that. That is the concept the self-concept made by you, and it bears no likeness to yourself at all. It is an idol that you made. You call yourself a sinner, that's an idol. You made it. You call yourself a liar, that's an idol. You made it. You call yourself this or call yourself that. Those are all idols that you made, and it's taught to you by the world. The world teaches you that you are sinful. You didn't come into the world like that. Read the story of the birth of Jesus. You didn't come into the world as no sinner. It is the world that teaches you that you are sinful. It is an idol that the world puts in front of you to worship. And this idol is made to take the place of your reality as son of God. You are the direct offspring of the Creator himself. And yeah, I'm busting out these secrets. They don't want you to know it. Because if you knew that your reality is son of God, then you walk in freedom. You walk in liberty. You walk in justice. You walk in love, because God is love and you are the offspring of God, the son of God, and therefore you are love. That is your nature. That is what you are. And as Ray Parker Jr. said back in the old days, you can't change that. Okay. Let me continue. The meaning of miracles. I'm going back to what is a miracle. Remember, in the first part, the miracle just simply changes perception. It does nothing. It just changes your perception. Okay. It reminds the mind that what it sees is false. Now, all miracles mean life. You see that? The miracle is life, and God is the giver of life, not death, life. And what God gives, there is no opposite to. Chew on that for a while. His voice, listen, his voice will direct you very specifically. And this is the beautiful part. This is why I say, when they say trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not onto your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him and he will direct your paths. He will direct you very specifically. And it takes some getting used to get direction specifically, because many times you don't get the whole story. Many times in my walk, I get step by step. I get step by step, one step at a time. I don't see the second step. I see the step that's in front of me. And people who know me, they're like, what the hell are you doing? But then when it all comes together, everybody sees it. So he will direct you specifically on what you need to be thinking and what you need to be doing. But you have to trust. It's not a hocus pocus thing. It is a principle trust. Faith is a substance. It is not a belief. Belief is belief, and faith is a substance. You can jump off of a building, and I don't care how much you believe that gravity doesn't exist. You're going towards the ground at 9.8 meters per second squared. Your belief is in opposition to faith. Faith is the law part of it. The gravity part, the law, the substance underneath the manifestation. That is the faith. Or you can jump off of a building and believe that you're going to accelerate towards the ground at 9.8 meters per second squared. And lo and behold, your belief is in harmony with faith. In other words, you think the same way, this in the same direction of faith. But you can have a belief and you can believe it all you want, but it's out of harmony with faith. So God's voice will direct you very specifically. You will be told all you need to know. You notice that? Not do, know. So you can depend on this, on the miracle. Miracles are natural. Oh, I know I'm chapping some rear ends today. Miracles, I just have fun doing it. Miracles are natural. When they do not occur, something has gone wrong. Do you see that? Straightforward. If you're not seeing miracles in your life, something has gone wrong. If you're not experiencing miracles, something has gone wrong. I don't care what they say. God's getting ready. Why God always getting ready to do something? I hear it all the time. God getting ready to bless you. God getting, what do he have to do to get ready? Somebody help me here. What does God have to do to get ready? He got to what? Get his bags packed or something? God getting ready to do this and God getting ready to do that. God getting ready to bless you with a husband and getting ready to bless you with a wife. He don't have to get ready. Okay, I'm being silly. Miracles are natural. In other words, when something is natural, you just do it. It's just there. When they do not occur, something has gone wrong. Now, here is the crux of it. Verse 12. Miracles are thoughts. Let somebody say amen. Say amen. Turn to your neighbor and say amen. Miracles are thoughts. I want that to sink in. Miracles are thoughts. In ancient Egypt and Nubia, going past Egypt, down further south into the interior of Akibulan, what is commonly known as Africa, they had what the Europeans thought were a lot of gods. The Europeans thought that all these things were gods, but the Africans knew that the thought is creative. The thought is creative. So knowing that, you can say thoughts are gods because thoughts create. And what does God do? Create. So he didn't understand that they understood that thoughts could be called gods for all intents and purposes because thoughts do the same thing as God, which is the image and likeness of God. See, it lines right on up. Okay, so now the Course in Miracles says that miracles are thoughts. So what are the miraculous thoughts? Thoughts can represent the lower or bodily level of experience. See there? It can represent your body's level of experience, thoughts, or the higher or spiritual level of experience. Thoughts can represent the body level of experience, meaning that your mind is in your body. In other words, you are walking in the flesh. One makes the physical and the other creates the spiritual. Thoughts and miracles are the same thing. Miracles are thoughts. You got to chew on it a little bit before you can really catch it. Now, for those of you who have a Course in Miracles, let's go to our lesson. How much time I got? I'm going to 8 o'clock. I got 8 minutes. And I built that up because I really wanted you to get the theoretical stuff behind the Course in Miracles, because I know you all are doing the lessons. And since you're doing the lessons, then you I can just go into the text. That's why I spent so much time in the text. Now, I said we're going to do lessons 29 through 32, and I'm just going to hit on it. Part 1 of A Course in Miracles of the workbook for students is the part that undoes your thinking. It undoes the thinking of the world. It starts to give you new ways of looking at everything inside of you and outside of you. And I guess you notice now that the Course in Miracles is not making a difference between what's inside of you, your inner world, and your outer world. And it has you going back and forth, in and out between your outer world and inner world, because it's trying to show you that the miracle is the thought, and there is no difference between the outer world and the inner world. There is no difference between the outer universe and the inner universe. They function under the same level. You are being reminded of your African heritage. Oh, it's Black History Month too, ain't it? So I guess I can say that. Lesson 29, God is in everything I see. And some of you guys have had a problem with that. God is in that coat hanger. God is in that magazine. God is in that finger. God is in that lamp. And some of you guys went and did, you did it. If you did anything like I did when I first started, that God is in that toilet, you start doing preposterous things to say, because it was preposterous to say God is in everything I see. And it tells you to look at different things and say, God is in that lamp. God is in that finger. God is in this fist that I'm about to hit you with. You know what I'm saying? Do you get it? And I had somebody call me and say, no. And I had to remind the person, the courses, the lessons, you're not going to believe some of them. You're not going to like some of them. You're going to say that's bull about some of them. Just do the lessons. Just do them. You don't have to believe it, see? Because the lessons are based on faith, and faith is a substance, not a belief. So if it's real, as the Course says, that which is real cannot be threatened, that which is unreal does not exist, then you are not losing anything by doing these 1-2 minute lessons. And you can just go on with your day. God is in everything I see. The idea for the day explains why you can see all purpose in everything. Do you realize that this lesson here is giving you the ability to see into stuff and not be looking at it on the surface? I have a friend right now, and I call her, I say, you are the most, I'm just amazed at your development in the Course, because she's eating it up and doing it. Right. Somebody said after a period of time, things start to come together. Right. It starts out at real, because it's got your learning curve. If the Course was to tell you in lesson 1 and 2 what it's going to tell you in lesson 364 and 365, you'll say, man, I ain't doing this. If it was to tell you what you're going to encounter right now, you would probably stop, because your mind would probably not be able to fathom it. So it takes little bitty steps towards God. The idea for today explains why you can see the purpose of the universe. I put my words in there. It says the purpose of everything, or the purpose in everything. You can see all purpose in everything. This lesson 29 explains it, because God is in everything you see. Now, going over to lesson 30, and so you can see the progression of it. God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. Now, you're going to have to say God ain't in my mind in order for you now to throw the other one out. God is in my mind, and since God sees everything, he's in everything you see, because God is in your mind. This is the reason why God is in everything you see. Do you see how it's building up to get you. It says this idea for today is the springboard for vision. And I'm here to tell you, brothers and sisters, the Bible says without a vision, the people perish. With vision, there's life. From this idea, listen here. From this idea, this one here, will the world open up before you? And you will look upon it and see in it what you have never seen before. From this idea, the world will open up before you and you will see. And here goes the one that might turn some of y'all off, but I got to tie it in. The day you eat this fruit, your eyes will be open and you will know. Lesson 31. It now is your declaration of independence from the world. From the world's thinking, I should say. I don't want to say a lot more, but I kind of want to hit that. I am not the victim of the world I see. So in this particular one, it declares your release because God is in your mind. And is God a victim of the world? Is God is in everything you see. Is God a victim of the world? So if God is in your mind, how could you be a victim? How could you be a victim of the world you see? And you might say, well, what are you talking about? We just saw this, we just saw that, and this event happened, and that event happened. I am not a victim of the world I see. Then lesson 32, which is today's lesson. Here is why you are not a victim of the world you see. You are not a victim of the world you see because you have invented the world you see. Now, how can the inventor be a victim of his invention unless he invented it to make him a victim? To make himself a victim. He invented the world to make himself a victim. But you still can't be the victim because you still have power over what you see. And so you invented this world that you have established as your victimizer. But the course tells you, because God is in your mind, you are not a victim. And you're not a victim because you have invented the world you see. So it starts out today. We are continuing to develop the theme of cause and effect. Now, you see, this is scientific approaching. This is a scientific approach. We're developing this theme of the cause of the world. You Bible scholars, he was in the world and the world was made by him and the world knew him not. But as many as received him, to them he gave the power to become the sons of God, even to those who believe on his name, not born of the flesh nor of the will of man, but of God. God is in your mind, and in your mind you have decided, because you wanted to become a victim, you created a world that victimizes you. And so you're now declaring your independence. So it says here in the second paragraph of lesson 32, the idea for today, like the preceding one, applies to your inner and outer worlds, which are actually the same. It's hard to believe, isn't it? It's hard to believe that your inner world and your outer world is the same. It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that your inner world and your outer world are both the same, or should I say, is the same. is the same when you're going through what appears to be struggles, when you're going through hard times, a tough situation. It is hard to believe this is not of me. I wouldn't do this to myself. No, you wouldn't if you knew yourself. So I want to end this here, and I want to encourage everybody to continue to tell somebody about the class. I'm telling you, I think it was Patricia. She said after a period of time, things start to come together. And I think also Cecil Land was telling me that one day too, that it's starting to come together. And I experienced that coming together. All of a sudden, here's what's happening to you guys. This is what's happening to us, I should say. What you feel like coming together is you are releasing thoughts that don't serve you. They're idols. You're releasing thoughts that you serve. See? And you're noticing that your thoughts no longer fight each other. More and more, your thoughts are in harmony with each other. More and more, you start to see peace in your mind. More and more, because that's what peace is. When there's no war in your thinking, when your thoughts do not contradict each other, you are at peace. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate you tuning in this with me. Clock this program out. Tell somebody about Sunday school, 9:45. We have a great lesson coming up. For some reason, I'm getting all these strange lessons. All right. So anyway, listen, I'm Alonzo Fleming. Thank you for joining me, and I am out of here.